Hello dear students, welcome back to our channel BioRealm. In previous two videos, we talked about what is cell. Then after that, we talked about the cell theory, what it exactly says, that every living organism is composed of cell. And after in modified cell theory, we came to know regarding the omnicelluli. Cellula means every new cell gets formed from the pre-existing cell. Then in this video, we'll get a brief overview of the cell. Brief overview of the cell. Okay. So what is exactly cell? Then what kind of components that cell is having? And after that, we'll see different types of cells. Okay. So let us start the overview by writing. Let me take black color first. Okay. So cell. Okay. So if we talk about cell, we have already talked about the cell, that it is the basic or fundamental structural and functional unit of living organisms. But if as far as the structure of cell is concerned, what type of structure cell is having? We talked about that it is the smallest entity of independent existence and is able to perform all the essential functions. So what makes it that cell to perform all these functions and be independent in every sense? So that structures we're going to talk about in this lecture. Okay. So cell, obviously, the cell, if we talk about cell, three structures should come in our mind. First is your second first is your cell membrane. Cell membrane. Okay. First your cell membrane. So what is cell membrane? Every cell is having cell membrane. Cell membrane is the outer covering which delimits the cell. Means inside outer envelope or outer covering below or inside to that of the cell membrane, every part of the cell lies. Okay. So first thing that delimits the cell, if we draw a diagram here, then this I will drawing the rough diagram. This is the cell membrane. So it is the outermost covering. Inside it, one structure is present, which is a dense membrane-bound structure. Dense membrane-bound structure, which is called as nucleus. Which is called as nucleus. Okay. Inside that, the membrane-bound structure is present, which is called as nucleus. So do remember here, not all kinds of cell will have the membrane bound nucleus. In generally, we are talking in general that generally the cell is having membrane bound nucleus, but not all cells. Which cells don't have that nucleus, that we will see immediately after this point. But for a time being, remember, cell is in roughly, it is having outermost layer or outermost covering, that is called as cell membrane, which is also called as plasma membrane. Inside to that, centrally there is a membrane bound structure which is called as nucleus. Third thing that is that cell is having, which is called as cyto cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. So what is cytoplasm? It is a semi-fluid matrix. What is that? It is a semi-fluid matrix. It is the semi-fluid matrix, and which is the main arena of cellular activities. Means all the cellular activities, and you can say different types of chemical reactions So what is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is semi-fluid matrix, which is the main area or main arena, means the place where all the cellular activities are carried out. And after that, it also contains, it is a place where different lot of different chemical reactions, metabolic reactions. If we see the example, then you will come to know the major photochemical reaction, which is photosynthesis. Okay, which is takes place in one of the organelle which is situated in the cytoplasm. Protein synthesis process, which is very important metabolic process, takes place in the cytoplasm. Then respiration takes place in one of the organelle that we will see later, but it is again a part in the cytoplasm. So all these collective chemical reactions which are occurring in the cell, which makes that cell in a living state. So very important point to mention here, which is given in your NCERT book, that what is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is the main arena where the different or where the different cellular activities are carried out, which consist of different kinds of chemical reactions which are taking place. Then after that, uh, and that collectively makes the cytoplasm. Okay, so this is about, you can see here I have drawn, this is, say for example, this is the cell membrane, this is the cytoplasm, and this is the membrane bound nucleus. Now this is the general structure, but nucleus, as I told you earlier, that nucleus is not a part in every cell. So in which type of cells nucleus is absent and which type of cell nucleus is present, on the basis of that the cell is categorized into two types. Let us see that in the next page. So cell, let me take the another color. So let's start here, cell. Okay, so this cell may be of two different types. May be of two different types. First one is your prokaryotic cell. Another one is your eukaryotic cell. Okay, prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. On what basis this differentiation is there? So this word pro and karyotic and eu and karyotic is made up of two different, you can say, words. If we see here, if we break it, pro is separate word, karyotic is another word. Here u is separate word and karyotic is different. Karyon means nucleus. Okay, so what is prokaryotic cell and what is eukaryotic cell? In prokaryotic cell, if we see, pro means primitive, or directly you can correlate it with the absence. Okay, so in your NCERT book it is given like this: the cells which is characterized by absence of membrane bound nucleus. Absence of membrane bound nucleus are called as prokaryotic cells. Means prokaryotic cells are the kinds of cells in which nucleus is absent. If it is present, then it is very in a rudimentary form, that is the primitive form. Therefore it is having the name prokaryotic cell. It is having very simple structure. I will draw the structure here. Okay, if I draw the structure here, prokaryotic cell means this is like this. The most famous example of this prokaryotic cell is the kingdom, examples in the kingdom Monera. if you might have learned the five kingdom classification system, in which R.H. Whitaker divided the organisms into five kingdoms like kingdom Protista, Monera, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Out of that, this kingdom Monera, which primarily consists of bacteria. Okay, so bacteria, which only consist of, this is the genetic material, and sometimes it contains extra chromosomal DNA, which is called as plasmids. So it's having very simple structure. It is having cell membrane. Okay, cell membrane is present. Then inside this is a bacterial chromosome, and here you will find the cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm is there. Cytoplasm is there. Okay. Now, sometimes here you may find the cell wall. Bacterial cell wall is there. Presence of cell wall. Okay. So the example of the this prokaryotic cell is bacteria. Bacteria is the example of prokaryotic cell. Now, what are the peculiarities of this? First, it let gets clear in your mind that the cells with absence of membrane bound nucleus, they are called as prokaryotic cell, whereas the cell with presence of membrane bound nucleus, here the membrane bound nucleus is present. In eukaryotic cell, if we talk, there is a presence of nucleus, membrane bound nucleus. Okay, so it comes under the eukaryotic cell. Eu means true, karyon means nucleus. Okay, so we are talking about prokaryotic properties of prokaryotic cells, that it is having cell wall, it is having cell membrane, it is having bacterial chromosome which is suspended in the nucleus. Means there is no any membrane which covers this bacterial chromosome or bacterial DNA. It is freely suspended in the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm में वो freely suspended है, उसके अराउंड कोई भी कवरिंग या एनवलप या मेम्ब्रेन नहीं है, इसके लिए उसे न्यूक्लियस वहां पर प्रेजेंट नहीं होता है, इसलिए उसे प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल्स कहते हैं. जो भी बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं वो ऑल जो बैक्टीरियाज होते हैं वो होते हैं प्रोकैरियोट्स. इसी के साथ में यहाँ पर और क्या नहीं होता प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल में? प्रोकैरियोटिक सेल में और मेम्ब्रेन बाउंड, लेट मी इरेज फर्स्ट. Okay. Absence of membrane bound cell organelles. Absence of membrane bound cell organelles. And on the contrary, in case of eukaryotic cell, there is a presence of membrane bound cell organelles. So, what are cell organelles? These are the different structures which collectively makes the cells. They are the components of the cells. Okay. So, what type of cell organelles are present in eukaryotic cells and which are absent in the eukaryotic cell? If we see the membrane-bound cell organelles, then we should write, say for example, mitochondria. Mitochondria are there. Then chloroplast, which are exclusively present in plants only. Then there is ER, means endoplasmic reticulum. Then there is Golgi bodies, Golgi bodies, okay, micro bodies, okay, vacuoles are there. So these are what? These are the membrane bound organelles which are exclusively present in the, you can say, eukaryotic cell, but these membrane bound organelles are absent in case of prokaryotic cell. Okay, so if we see the another one particular point from your syllabus, that is, it is given about the ribosomes. Okay, so what are ribosomes? Let's take into the another page. What are ribosomes? Ribosomes. See, ribosomes are ribosomes are non-membrane bound cell organelle. Unlike to that of the mitochondria, chloroplast, which are having membrane covering them. Membrane bound means what? If this is a cell, okay, it contains nucleus, and suppose this is the mitochondria. Okay, we'll draw the structure like this, mitochondria. Okay. So what you observe here, external structure is your membrane. This membrane. Inside that, all the structure is present. So that mitochondria is having outer membrane. Therefore, it is called as membrane bound. Okay. So we are talking particularly about ribosomes. That ribosome is non-membrane bound cell organelles, and it is present in both. It is present in both prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Okay, it is present in both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic. In both the in both kind of cell, prokaryotic cell as well as in eukaryotic cells, this membrane bound organelle is present. Okay, non membrane bound organelle is present. Right now, where it is present? It is present at 4 places. See, it is very important from your questions point of view. Where it is present? It is present in the first in the cytoplasm. Okay. Secondly, it is present in the mitochondria. Thirdly, it is present in the chloroplast. And fourth, it is present in the rough endoplasmic reticulum. At 4 places, it is observed or it is found. See, ribosome, if we are asked about the ribosome, MCQ might be asked on that. So these 3-4 characteristics should be remembered, that it is non-membrane bound organelles. It is present both in prokaryotic as well as in eukaryotic cells. It is present at 4 different places: in cytoplasm, in mitochondria, in chloroplast in case of plant cells, and in last, it is present on the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So ribosome, why it is present there? The reason for that is it is involved in the process of protein synthesis, and in due course, somewhere else, you will come to know that mitochondria and chloroplast, these are called as semi-autonomous organelles, because they have their own DNA molecule, and which that DNA molecule will going to synthesize the protein. And ribosomes are required wherever the proteins are needs to get synthesized, because ribosome is a part of protein synthesis process. So therefore, they are present in mitochondria, they are present in chloroplast, they are obviously present in cytoplasm because protein synthesis takes place in cytoplasm, and particularly in the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so that is about the uh, ribosomes. So we talked about prokaryotic cell, we talked about eukaryotic cell, we talked about the peculiarities of prokaryotic cell. Here we talked about prokaryotic cell, but in case of eukaryotic cell, if I ask you about the eukaryotic cell, then uh, let me take erase here. So eukaryotic cell can be again further divided into two different parts. Eukaryotic cell can be it can be a plant cell or it can be a animal cell. There are certain structure which are exclusively present only in plant cell, whereas they are absent in the animal cell. For example, in your book, example of plant cell is given as a onion peel, and here animal cell example is given as the human chick cell. What kind of structures are present in both the kinds of cells? Okay, so in case of plant cell, if we see, there is a presence of there is a presence of cell wall. The presence of cell wall is there in case of plant cells. Plant cell में cell wall present होती है, whereas in animal cell there is a absence of cell wall. Means in case of animal cell, cell membrane itself is the outermost layer. Okay, but in case of plant cell, outermost layer is your cell wall. For example, if you draw a plant cell like this, okay, and inside that this is the cell membrane, and inside that nucleus is present. But in case of plant cell, we'll directly find the cell membrane inside the nucleus. Means there is no any cell wall which is present here. In case of this, cell wall is present. Okay, so that is main point. Then some organelles are the part of the plant cell only, some organelles are the part of the animal cell only. For example, uh, chloroplast chloroplast is the part which is present, or is the cell organelle which is present in plant cell only, whereas it is absent in the animal cell. In animal cell, there is another structure which is called as centrosome, which plays very important role in case of cell division, which is present exclusively in case of animal cells. Okay, the eukaryotic cell again further divided into plant cell as well as animal cells. In animal cells, cell wall is absent, whereas in case of plant cells, cell wall is present. Chloroplast is exclusively present in the plant cell, whereas it is absent in the animal cell. Whereas centrosome is present in the animal cell, which helps in the cell division. Okay, so we talked about cell, prokaryotic cell, eukaryotic cell, what kind of organelles are present in prokaryotic cell, what kind of organelles are present in eukaryotic cell. Okay, so which organelles are absent in prokaryotic cell, we talked about that. Then we talked about particular one non-membrane bound organelle which is called as ribosome. We talked about its characteristics, and after that we have seen the clarifications or differences between plant cell and animal cells, which are the example of eukaryotic cell. Then lastly, we'll talk about the some of the points which are given in the overview of the cell. See, for example, the cell, smallest cell, if you talk, it is the mycoplasma cell, which is having a size of around 0.3 micrometer. 0.3 micrometer small is the smallest cell which is observed in case of mycoplasma. Whereas if we see the range of the uh, Size range in case of bacteria, it ranges from 3 to 5 micrometer. In case of multicellular organisms, we talk about human red blood cells, which is having a size of around 7 micrometer. If we are asked the largest isolated single cell, then you must write the answer as an egg of the ostrich. You should memorize all these points. And if we see some of the longest cells in the body, then we must know that one of the longest cell is your nerve cell. Okay. Then the shape of the different cell depends on the type of functions they perform. The shape can be disc-like, it can be polygonal, having many multiple sides, like columnar means column-like, cuboid means cube-like, thread-like, or even the irregulars. Here in your NCERT, it is given different type of cell and their shapes. For example, here if you see RBC, it is round and biconcave, means like this, concave from both the sides. White blood cells are like amoeba, therefore it is called amoeboid. Columnar epithelial cells, which are having a long and narrow structure. This nerve cell, which we talked about as one of the longest cell, it is branch cell as well as the longest cells. Tracheids, which is a part of a xylem. Tracheids, tracheids, vessels, xylem fiber, xylem parenchyma. That tracheid, which is very important in the conduction of water and minerals, it is having the elongated means long structure. Whereas mesophyll cells means these are the cells which are present in the leaves. Okay, meso means middle, phyll means leaf. The cells which are present in the middle of the leaves are called as mesophyll cells. That mesophyll cells are generally round and oval in shape. So I hope we talked about the overview of the cell. We talked about example of onion peel, which is a plant cell, and your human cheek cell, which is animal cell. Generally, we talked about the cell limiting membrane, which is called as cell membrane. The general structure of cell is having cell membrane. Inside cell membrane, it is having cytoplasm, centrally placed nucleus, but nucleus is not present in every cell. On the basis of presence and absence of nucleus, the cell can be categorized into two different types, like prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Cell without membrane bound nucleus are called as prokaryotic cells. Nucleus is absent. In case of eukaryotic cell, U means true. In case of eukaryotic cell, the nucleus is true and it is present. Then in case of prokaryotic cell, it is having cell wall. Example of that is bacteria, which is in the group Monera. Then it is having bacterial chromosome, which is freely suspended in the cytoplasm, and it lacks the membrane bound organelles like like mitochondria, like chloroplast, like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes are also there. So that lacks in the prokaryotic cell, whereas these are present in the eukaryotic cell. So eukaryotic cell is having presence of nucleus, then membrane bound organelles are present. uh, that is about the prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Then we talked about one non-membrane bound organelle, which is called as ribosome, which is a part which is present in both type of cell, that is prokaryotic as well as in eukaryotic cell. And after that we talked that it is very important, it is present in the cytoplasm, chloroplast, mitochondria, as well as in rough endoplasmic reticulum, because it is very important in case of protein synthesis, and these are the places where protein synthesis takes place. Okay. So, and after that we talked about some dimensions like smallest cell, like mycoplasma, longest cell, nerve cell, largest isolated single cell, egg of the ostrich, and we talked about different shapes of the cells and which vary according to the functions they perform. I hope you all understood all this video. If you have watched full video and if you are not subscribed yet, then please subscribe this channel and share the videos to the students who are preparing for the CBSE 12th or as well as NEET. Okay, and if you like the video, then please hit the like button. Thank you. We'll meet soon.